Hi everybody, Steve from Steve's Makerspace, and we are in p5.js. This is a special video just for generative artists. Other people are not going to be very interested in this. We're going to talk about options for mixing colors, especially when you're mixing a lot of colors. So in this example, these are some random colors, and this is one way of combining those colors. It's placing each color with some alpha, then placing the next color with alpha, etc. Let's increase this to 10. What you'll notice here is the color that shows up here is not a mix of all of these colors exactly evenly, but a mix of maybe these last three colors. I'll click a few times so you can see that, there, and there, and there. And this makes perfect sense because the computer doesn't know how many colors came before. It's just looking at what's on the screen right now and mixing it with the new color. So you would expect that the most recent color might have like 50% of the color that winds up in the end, and the next one over might have 25% of the color that winds up in the end. This is an RGB mix with alpha. Now here's another mix with alpha. In this one I have converted to HSB. If you ever wanted to know how to convert from RGB to HSB, this is how you do it. Right here, so you can look at this code. I'll have it in the description, video description, but you'll see that it's pretty close to the same. Converting each color to HSB and giving it alpha and placing it here results in about the same color. Now what if instead of using alpha we took an average of the colors? So this is taking the R of each of these, adding them together, and then dividing by the number of colors. And then doing the same thing for the blue and the green, and then finally filling with the average red, green, blue at full alpha. I've also done the same thing with HSB. So this one is converting each color to HSB, then adding all the hues together, all the saturations together, all the brightnesses together, dividing by the number of colors, then finally placing the average H, S, and B and full alpha, and this is the result of that. If we go to something that's only three colors, both of these seem kind of reasonable. So here's some examples. But if we increase this, let's take it an extreme, maybe do 150. If I keep getting new results, you'll notice something. This one continues to be gray. This one continues to be cyan. So why is that? If it's taking the average of R, that's going to be 127, and the average of blue is going to be 127, and the average of green is going to be 127. And if you do 127, 127, 127, you're going to get gray. And with this, if you're doing an average of the hue, and you do a lot of numbers, this is the hue color wheel. It goes from 0 to 360. If you keep getting an average between 0 and 360, you're going to wind up getting this cyan in the middle. As you increase your numbers, you're going to lose red first, and then you'll lose yellow and purple, until finally you just wind up with cyan. So getting an average might be okay if you're only mixing maybe three colors together, but it's really not any good if you're mixing a lot of colors. Now this one down here it's better. What I'm doing is for the saturation and the brightness, I'm using the average, just like I was for this. But for the hue, instead of getting an average of the hue, I'm getting an average of the R, the G, and the B, then converting that to whatever the hue is. So I get the hue from the average RGB and combine it with the average saturation and brightness, and I wind up with this. So let's increase the number of colors. And you see this is a pretty nice color. We'll go again. We'll go again and again and again, and we're getting a nice variety of colors that are kind of rich and bright and not muted, and they're not cyan all the time. So that is one of the ways of combining colors that works well, and I would recommend. There's one other way. So I want to show you something in Excel for a little bit. I did some analysis in Excel of the averages. 100 times I did the average of three numbers between 0 and 255, and I charted that. And so this is the chart of the variance for three random colors. This is the chart for the variance of 12 random colors. And what you notice is that this one is squeezed together. So I kind of already talked about that when I was explaining about this. But in putting it in Excel, I was able to analyze the numbers and come up with a formula, because what I wanted to do was basically to flatten this so that it looks more like this. So how do you take the average of a bunch of colors and make it so that it's not so dull? So remember, this is the average RGB and we're getting mostly gray. So I'm not going to explain all of this math. It's not very complicated, but I don't want to waste your time. You can just copy this code if you want. And this is just for the R remapping. Then you've got the G remapping and the B remapping. But basically it's remapping the initial average so that it gets remapped to a wider range of colors. So let's look at the result there. We'll hit go. What you'll see is both of these are kind of rich, kind of bright. Sometimes one is brighter than the other, but they both produce kind of similar results, kind of interesting. I don't know which one of these is better than the other, but you can use either one. I should note though that this method only works up to 18 colors. If I go to 19 colors, the formula breaks down. It doesn't work anymore. This method continues to work pretty well beyond 19 colors. I also tried just combining these two using some alpha, and the result is not great. Like, I don't ever get a rich and bright color. I think it would be better to use one or the other. One final thing, you may have heard of blend mode. I checked out all these blend modes and tried them out, and they're all terrible. I wouldn't recommend them. So in conclusion, these are the two methods I recommend. I put little stars next to them in the code so you know which is these two. And that is it. If you have any other recommendations about combining colors, please let me know in the comments. If you like this video, you can give it a like, consider subscribing to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Steve's Makerspace.